So the question is, how do I feel about teaching improvisation, and do I feel like it's important? And in America's first form of invented music, which was jazz, improvisation was key to the success of that music, to the forming of that music. So I do believe it's important that our kids learn about improvisation and learn how to improv. However, I don't know, I feel in band particular that we seem to be going away from the jazz genre more and more into the concert band and marching band, and I'm okay with that, but I love jazz too, and I just still hope that I can be able to effectively teach kids how to improvise. And improvising's difficult. It's scary. You got to have a little bit of knowledge of rhythmic feels for different styles of jazz, and some music theory skills on scales and chords and jazz chords and what notes work and what notes don't. And it's a very scary task for individuals, to say the least. So yeah, I do teach improv to my jazz band kids. A lot of kids struggle with it. It's not my strongest point either, but anyways, so as far as that, yes, improvisation is very important to teach. As far as interdisciplinary things with pieces of music and other subject areas, I think history and music is a very easy way to mix both of the subjects. Last year, our high school band did a piece called "The Great Locomotive Chase" by Robert W. Smith, and it was about some soldiers from the North who snuck down into the southern part and stole a locomotive, and their intention was to bring it back up into the north side of the country, and along the way destroy all the railroad tracks and the telegraph poles and every way form of communication that they had, to slow down their getting supplies and being able to communicate. And it was a very cool piece. My kids loved it, and they would not have enjoyed that piece. Excuse me, there's a bug in my face. They would not have enjoyed that piece as much had they not known the background story of the Great Locomotive Chase. And it was a fast, very energetic piece, although apparently the locomotive was only going about 13 miles an hour at its top speed. But eventually they all got caught 20 miles before the final spot that they could have been free, and they all got caught and they got executed, most of them. And it was very daring, very brave process for them. So that piece is great, and I even discussed it a little bit with our history teacher, who I don't know if he ever did anything about it in his classes, but it would be cool to talk to him and maybe do another project. There's another piece called "The Light Eternal" by James Swearingen. It's World War II, and it talks about a boat. Actually, it was a U.S. It was a transport vehicle that got struck by a German U-boat, and there was four chaplains on board of all different faiths, and they pretty much went down with the ship, and they pretty much consoled all the soldiers that were on the ship. It was sinking. It was near Greenland, and uses the hymn "God of Our Fathers," but it has some very, very strong parts in the middle of the piece that pretty much describe the ship being bombarded and struck by the U-boat. And it was just a powerful piece. We did it one time at a Veterans Day program, and another concert, and it's just a neat piece. So I think history is a very good interdisciplinary curriculum to use music and history, and also science. I've had discussions about discussing intonation projects and tuning projects and the idea of sound waves with science teacher. Unfortunately, he left this year, so now we have to go back to square one. But yeah, I think it's really important to try to involve your other teachers from other curricular areas, and it just gets kids thinking more about the music they perform. And on a side note, with Robert W. Smith, I went to a workshop one year where he spoke, and he said it's important these kids know the meaning for every piece that they play and why they're playing it and what the story is behind it, because it just adds another element of performance, which we all need to remember to do when we're performing music for the public. It's just not notes and rhythms, and there's a story behind most of it. So it's always neat to dig into that, and when you get your kids involved in that, they seem to perform it better. Well, my time's up here. Here's the beautiful Mississippi again, and I will talk to y'all later.